Welcome into Rattler Up with Coach Walsh. We're live from the Hays County Barbecue in the Big Texas Event Center. Make some noise, Hays County Barbecue, with our live studio audience joining us each week as we talk with Coach Walsh and go over all things Rattler Nation. We're excited to be here with you. I'm your host, CJ Odom, and with me every week is our San Marcos High School Athletic Director and Head Football Coach, John Walsh. Coach, welcome in back to Rattler Up.
Back here again, what, fifth time?
We're on episode 5. They haven't canceled us yet. We must be doing something right.
Good.
All right. So again, this is the place to be. Monday nights at 6, live here in the Big Texas Event Center at Hays County Barbecue. Get that Texas Monthly Award-winning barbecue, brisket, sausage, turkey, you name it. Be here live with us. Watch the show. Stay for Monday Night Football. We got Cowboys, Eagles this week. I was tempted to wear my Cowboys jersey this week, but I went ahead and stayed with my Rattler purple. But Cowboys jersey is definitely in the truck. I'll be bringing out Cowboys the rest of the way.
It's been a good night to wear it.
It'll be a good night to wear it. So I'll get your prediction at the end of the show, but sounds like you're not going to make me angry?
No, not tonight.
Not tonight. All right. Well, I'm excited about that.
Playing the Eagles.
It's playing the Eagles, exactly. So coming up this week on Rattler Up, no game this week. We had the bye. We're going to talk about the implications of that and, of course, look back on the this coming Friday's district matchup against Westlake in Austin. We'll update you on volleyball as they continue district play, some middle school athletics as well. And live in studio, we'll have Superintendent of San Marcos Schools, Dr. Michael Cardona. So we've got a stacked show this week. With the bye, it's a lot of fun. But, Coach, what was it like? Were you thinking real strongly about having the main boss on the show? Was that a smart idea?
We'll find out.
We're going to find out. This could be the 5th and final episode of Rattler Up, depending on how the next 45 minutes go. Well, Coach, the team was on a bye this past week, and we've talked a lot about what that was like for you, for your coaching staff, for the players. But did you get the rest? Did you get the reset that you personally and your coaches, did you get what you needed from the bye week?
Yeah, absolutely. We don't want to say off week because there's so many things that go into preparing for a season, and we're playing on a long season. So our goal was to get not just our bodies healthy, but get our minds healthy. And yeah, we did. We backed off quite a bit and turned it back up today. All
right. Well, we know that because we have the bye and we had the opportunity, we don't have a game from last week to look back over. We thought we've had an opportunity. We've met with Coach Michael Morris, our cross-country coach. We've met with Michelle Knight. We got to find out a lot about our Diamond Line program. So we want to take a moment, Coach, and just kind of do that same with you. Do a little more personal. Your name's in the title, much bigger font than mine. It's Rattler Up with Coach Walsh. So let's talk a little bit of Coach Walsh, if you don't mind, as we want to let Rattler Nation get to know you a little bit better.
All right, let's go.
Well, just start off with just telling us how you got to this point. So, I understand we talked this past weekend at the San Marcos Education Foundation's skeet shoot. So, great foundation doing some great things for teachers in our district. They had a skeet shoot competition that you and I were both a part of, and I think it was there I found out that you did a lot of moving as a kid. Father in the Air Force, is that right? Tell the folks about that.
Yeah, they say where you're from, and I got a Texas twang, but I'm really from a lot of places. My dad was in the Air Force. I was born in New Jersey, lived in Delaware. From there, went 4 years to Spain, and then found ourselves in 4 years in Florida, and then 2 years in Australia, and then he retired in Abilene, Texas. At all those places, we ended up in Abilene, but met my wife there in high school and all that good stuff, so it was a good move.
And so where did you end up graduating high school from?
Merkel Badgers.
The Merkel Badgers.
Merkel Badgers.
All right. And what sports did you play in high school?
Well, at Merkel, you played everything if you could walk and chew gum. So,
what A was Merkel to kind of let people figure that
3A,
out?
so
3A
probably
school, okay.
4A now. But, yeah, I did it all. Football, basketball. I used to went from one to the other. Football, basketball, baseball, track, and then just recycled it next year.
Okay, so then you graduate high school. Talk about the path you take post-high school as you start getting out there and figuring out your path in life.
Yeah, I stayed in town. A buddy of mine played Division III ball at McMurray. It was a non-scholarship school, but it was a great experience for me. So I played football at McMurray and met my wife in high school. She actually is a year ahead of me, and she was playing basketball at Cisco Junior College, and then she ended up at McMurray as well. Okay, so talk to us about then getting into the coaching profession. Was that an early on that you kind of feel like that's what you wanted to do, or was there a moment in college or at some other point where you decided that that's what you wanted to kind of get into? Yeah, when you grew up in Merkel, we weren't good in football. We were really good in basketball, so I thought I wanted to be a head basketball coach, and then went to play college football, and then we hired a guy by the name of Joe George my sophomore year, and he was pretty influential on how he approached the game and how we enjoyed playing for him. And once I played for him, I realized I wanted to do what he did, and stuck with football. Okay.
And so talk us through your coaching career then. We know you came to us from Denton Geyer, but there were stops along the way prior to that, correct?
Yeah, just a stop.
A stop, that's right. You talked about that in an earlier episode.
I've told the story. I was in college, I worked at UPS, and UPS was it's a great career path, and I was loading these trucks for guys who were making about $70,000 at the time back in 1994-ish. And then I graduated. It was time to go sign a contract to coach in Brownwood, and I was signing a $24,000 contract when I could have stayed with UPS. But I did promise my family that my wife, and we had a son, that we wouldn't be movers. We'd get in this business and try to be. So if I'm proud of anything I've done in my career, is I haven't been a mover. I started in Brownwood, spent 10 years there, and then went to got my first head job at Denton Guyer for 15 years. And then it was time to find a one-horse town and make a change, and I'm in San Marcos. And
I think that was, in a lot of the interviews that I've read and a lot of the things that I saw in your arrival to San Marcos, one of the big drawing factors for you was the idea of having that one high school, the one town. Everyone in this city bleeds purple and is part of that Rattler Nation. Talk to us about that and just what other things that appealed to you about taking the San Marcos job.
So full circle, I go to Brownwood for 10 years. I'm an impressionable young coach, learning the game, learning the profession, learning how to build a program. Had a great head coach to learn from, who's one of my best friends right now, Steve Freeman. So Brownwood was a storied place that was down and out. I mean, they were 0-2-8. We go there, we go 1-9 the first year, and then the next 9 years, we're in the playoffs and playing the semis. We didn't win the title, and I actually bought a house right next to the legendary Gordon Wood. So,
wow.
And his OC, Morris Southall, was on the other side of me. So great experience. So I got the whole.
You're sitting at the learning tree daily.
Yes, no doubt. Yeah, I used to walk out the door, and if we lost, I would open the door and peek to see if Coach Wood was out there waiting. If not, then I'd run to the car and get out. But that's a true story. A true story. And he would feed my dog, so I'd have to be. He knew how to get me. He'd feed my dog to talk to me. But yeah, so that whole feel of Brownwood, everybody was a Brownwood Lion. Denton was great. I mean, it was a great place for me. We won a lot of ball games, but we grew and we grew. When I first moved to Denton, the house I picked that we bought was we saw turkey going across the road, because I was afraid to move to the city. So I said, all right, we can do this thing, So then there was no turkeys. HEB Albertsons got built, gas stations got built, and we were a 4 high school town in a hurry.
Wow.
And so I wanted to finish up somewhere where everybody's a Rattler.
Right, and we're so glad to have you. You talk about your family. Your wife works in the district as well. My 4th grade daughter is at Bowie Elementary. Has her coach. When I say Coach Walsh,
not me.
It's not you.
No.
Not for my 9-year-old. She absolutely adores your wife. Now we also know a great deal about Maggie. Obviously, senior here with our volleyball team. We've talked a great deal about her here on Rattler Up. But you have 3 kids overall. Talk to us about the rest of the family that maybe we don't know as much about.
So my first is my son. He played for me at Denton Guyer. We didn't win a title together, but we got to a title together. And I say this town wrong all the time. Is it Cibolo? Did I say it right?
Mm-hmm.
Cibolo got me. I say it wrong on purpose.
So do we.
Yeah. But we had a great experience together. He got to play quarterback at Oklahoma State. He's actually back there coaching at Oklahoma State right now. So he's living his dream, how he wants to do it. And then I got a middle daughter who will graduate from the University of Arkansas with a finance degree, and she got a real estate license in December.
Nice, very cool. All right. Well, what has been the biggest and best surprise to you? You kind of picked San Marcos for a reason, and now that you're here, what's surprised you? What's been one of the biggest and coolest things that's happened that you like the most about San Marcos?
Yeah, so there was a little bit of unknown. So when I went to Brownwood, I was the 22-year-old that was getting told what to do, so I didn't really pay much attention during we inherited kids, and we inherited staff, and we inherited a town. So I didn't pay much attention to that part because I was just swimming, trying to impress the head coach and move up in the ranks. And then at Denton Guyer, we built it from the ground up. There was no kid. It was a brand new school, so a different kind of build. So my unknown here was coming in, and I was actually the guy in charge and inheriting everything. And how fast would the kids buy in? The town will buy in when the kids buy in. And our best message is our kids. So when the kids buy in and everybody else will buy in behind them. I guess my biggest surprise is how fast they bought in. That part wasn't hard, and we're still doing it. I mean, it's not like we got it fixed, and but we are going the right direction. And when I talk to those kids, or our coaching staff talks to those kids, you see the buy-in in their eyes. They're not looking off. They're eating what we're talking, and we're just going to keep feeding them.
And I think we've seen that with players that we've interviewed here on Rattler Up, those we've talked to, the buy-in is there. It's really starting to spread in the community. I think this Rattler Up program hopefully helps that, as we have a great live studio audience here every Monday night at Hayes County Barbecue. People watching at home on the VYPE live stream. Really excited to see Rattler Nation grow and meet good things. So, Coach, thanks for letting us take a minute to just learn a little bit more about you and as we get to continue down this journey with you building this program. But let's go ahead and get us back to sports. We're going to go ahead and get to our Rattler Nation update. We know that our football team had a bye this week, but we definitely want to talk about some other things that were going on. And this was an interesting week, especially for girls volleyball, as you well know.
Right.
This was a tough week as they took on 2 state-ranked teams in this past week. We talked about it last week as a preparation for it. Tuesday night, they went up to Austin to take on Austin High, and Friday night in the Snake Pit, they played Lake Travis. Both games they dropped, but they dropped them both in 5 sets. And as you look at the scores, there were 29-27 sets, 25-23 sets. Our girls were in every moment of every one of those games. We were there Friday night. Let's real quick, how about the atmosphere Friday night? That's as fun an atmosphere as I've seen in a long time here at a San Marcos home game.
Yeah, I've been in a lot of volleyball games in my 28-year career, and normally you pack the gyms with basketball. It's just kind of the thing. So to see it packed from top to bottom with at a volleyball game is a lot of fun.
And so it was tough. Obviously, they didn't get the wins that they wanted, and so that becomes a real. It almost seems like there's a turning point now for them for this season. And as a coach and a father, you really know what Coach Teo is kind of having to figure out right now. So if you're Coach Teo's shoes, how does he approach this coming week now with his girls? They don't get the W's they want on the one hand, but on the other hand, you went 5 sets with 2 of the best teams in the state. You demonstrated you can hang with them. There's nothing showing in any way, shape, or form that you can't get that win back in the second half of the season. What do you both think and suggest that Coach Teo does this week to kind of get the girls back on track?
Well, I get a front row seat because Maggie comes home and I get to hear it all, right? I get to hear her perspective, talk to Coach Teo. So the Austin High game, I think it was 9-9 in the set 5. When they dropped it, when she got home, she's usually terrible to be around. Like, you just want to have the food ready and you be in the bed and don't talk to her. But she came home with the realization as a team, hey, we can play. They're the number 6 team in the state. We can play with all of them, right?
Right.
So I saw that, and then dropping the Lake Travis game, they didn't play their best game. They played. If they'd have played as well as they did against Austin High, against Lake Travis, they would have,
right.
we'd have been in victory. But they were mad. They were mad that they didn't do it now. So now they believe they can do it. Now they're ticked off when they don't do it. I think all Teo's got to do is be business. He's still having to figure out some things in his lineup. But we're going to Del Valley. Take care of business. It's a long season. I saw a tweet he put out, and he's exactly right. And it's my mindset, as it's always been my mindset. I've never really harped on or talked about district championships. It's always been about how far we can get in that tournament. No one really remembers if you won the district. Everybody remembers how far you go in the playoffs. And and he put that tweet out there pretty quick that night, and I said, all right, Teo gets it. He gets
He's thinking like you want him to think, right?
He gets it. You got to pace the season. You can't make this week you can't put a whole lot of strain and energy into it on things that don't need energy. Just keep it business-like. Go there, take care of your business against Del Valley. Got a big one against Westlake again. And just pace the season, have the girls ready for the tournament.
And I think it's interesting that they will actually be on the road both games this week. And so there's something to be said for getting away from home, hitting the road, doing what they can. And I think the first game back in the Snake Pit here in a couple weeks is going to be huge for them. Crowd's going to be super excited to see them.
Absolutely.
For sure. Well, down in the middle schools, lots of great things are going on down there. And in fact, middle school football is going to be our feature as we take a look at this week's Plays of the Week. And these are going to be brought to you by Miller, the Miller football program. 2 great, we have a hard time picking one play, Coach. You know that.
Right.
And once again, we're doing it again with Plays of the Week. We have 2 plays we want to take a look at. So let's take a look at the first one. These are both going to feature the Miller football program. Walk us through this first one. Big run for the running back here.
Well, the good news is last week we had some nice plays from Goodnight from their running back. So when we were thinking about what we're going to do today, it wasn't hard to go find Donovan clips, and he has quite a bit of them. So that was just Donovan. Was that just an outside? Was that a read play, Donovan, or just a handoff? Was that a read play or just a handoff? He used to say, "I got the ball and ran."
I kept going until I was in the end zone, Coach.
Give me the ball.
All right, let's look at this second play then. Also featuring Donovan, but on the other side of the ball here.
Yeah, he's an impact player on both sides. And you can't leave that ball hanging up when he's playing center field out there. He's gonna take it the other way.
All right, so those are our plays of the week, brought to you by this week, Miller Football. So we're really excited that, like you said, the Goodnight program, the Miller program, they're really feeding us and setting us up for what we believe is a bright future at the high school for Rattler Nation. And as often happens with these plays of the week, they kind of telegraph our Rattlers of the week. But again, this time, because there was some volleyball happening down at Goodnight that made us say we can't just have a Rattler of the week. So we're going to announce, Coach, our Rattlers of the week. So they are going to be, there you go. Hayes County Barbecue here in our live studio audience, giving some love to our Rattlers of the week. We have from Miller Middle School 8th grader Donovan Garcia, and from Goodnight Middle School 8th grade outside hitter Adelaida Sierra, and they're going to join us here live in studio. So yeah, you can clap once again. Absolutely. All right, so congratulations, Rattlers of the Week. We'll start with you, Adelaida. So talk to us. It says you're an outside hitter, so talk to me about just what brought you into volleyball. What makes you enjoy volleyball, especially in the Goodnight program?
It's just a really competitive sport. I love the game. It just it requires me to think a lot, and I like that. It's just the competitive atmosphere that I enjoy the most about it. So that's why I thought that it would be a good sport for me.
Okay. For those that don't necessarily know necessarily different positions and strategies in volleyball, talk to us about your role as an outside hitter. What are some of the primary duties you have on the court?
Just get the ball over and just be one of those leaders on the court. Just knowing what's going on and just having court awareness is one of the biggest things, being an outside hitter. So, yeah. Okay.
And so if you'll pass it on down, we'll talk to Donovan for just a minute. We'll come back to you, though. You're not off the hook just yet. You're Rattler of the Week. You get featured here. All right, so Donovan, again, congratulations. Playing both sides of the ball. Big touchdown run we see when they're handing you the ball. Interception, just almost for a pick six. Did you have the end zone in your sight?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So talk to us about the challenge of playing both sides of the ball like that.
You can definitely get tired a lot. It's very difficult because you got to learn both sides. Not only just running the ball on offense, you also got to block on offense, and then on defense, you got a lot of responsibilities. Watch a lot of different things that could happen.
So talk to us about the coaching staff down there at Miller. What have they done the most? What do you feel like has helped you the most, especially because you're playing on both sides of the ball, you're also working with more coaches. What are some of the good things they've done to really help you develop as a player?
They've taught us new stuff.
Do they have good examples for you, kind of show you the ropes, get you in there, build the confidence?
Yeah.
How have they helped with other players? What's the team like? Talk about the team camaraderie and what the team's like in the locker room and on the field.
They've helped by putting people in positions that would be better for the team, and just
they've grown quite a bit from last year to this year. One, their bodies have grown. They look different. Because we just won one game last year, right?
Yeah.
And we're 3-0, and everybody's trying to get our film now. So they've made lots of progress, and Coach McGee down there has done a great job of changing that culture. I think you can vouch for that, Donovan.
Yeah.
Coach McGee has got some energy, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, Adelaida, I have some notes here. It talks about you're also a year-round softball player. You actually pitch for a national select team. So tell us a little bit more about your softball experience as well. We don't have a softball place for you to play in the junior highs just yet, but obviously, I guess that's something you'll have your eye on in high school.
Yes, sir.
So talk to us about your softball career a little bit as well.
Well, I'm a pitcher. I'm a utility player, so I can really play anywhere, but my main position is a pitcher. I've been playing softball since I was about to say 5. I played t-ball. So it's just, I grew up around it. It's a great atmosphere that I've been around, and I just love the sport.
Awesome. So Donovan, what about you when you're not playing football? What are some other things you enjoy doing and things that you do to pass time?
Sometimes me and my friends will go to a park and we'll play basketball, just pickup games. We go hang out in places and stuff like that.
Now, I know it's real early on, but do you have some goals for yourself, either in high school, some things that you really want to accomplish in high school, or even things you want to do after that?
I want to be the starting running back. I'm going to think on that one.
Yeah. Well, let's take that one. If you are going to be the starting running back, what's something you know you've got to do between now and then to start at the varsity level for Friday on a Friday night for the Rattlers?
Definitely some things that I still have to improve in, like just remembering plays. Like sometimes I'll be on the field and I'll kind of like forget what I'm supposed to do, like what my job is and stuff. Mm-hmm. So just working better on my memory.
Okay. Well, that's a sign of a great leader right there. You know what you need to work on. You've got a plan to do it. So I think that's exciting. Adelaide, is kind of a similar question. What are some goals that you have going into high school and even beyond?
Well, just really to get looked at. I just entered 14U ball, so now I know that it's going to get even more competitive, and the older I get, I'm going to get more looked at. So I really just, not saying that I need to be on my game every time, but I just need to give it all on the field and just have that competitive desire.
Awesome.
I'm just now putting 2 and 2 together. So Coach Stokes has been talking about, I saw the last name. Coach Stokes has been talking about her pitching since I got here. So, yeah, she's got big plans for this year.
Absolutely. That's going to be fantastic. Again, as always, when we talk middle school, the future of Rattler Nation is bright, and it's exciting to see that. So, Adelaide, before we let you go, I'll give you an opportunity. You got an open mic. How about some shout-outs? Anybody you want to thank for getting you here this far?
Shout out to all my family. They're my number one supports. All my coaches, Nadia Taylor and Nairi Wright. They've done so much for me, and they've gotten me to where I'm at today.
All right. Donovan, same thing. Who do you want to shout out to before we get going?
Definitely like my family, definitely my dad. He's been my day one coach ever since I started playing football. And definitely Coach McGee for helping me and the team this year.
All right. Well, Donovan, Adelaide, thanks again for being here. Congratulations on being our Rattlers of the Week. Hey, Scotty Barbecue. All right, real special when we can talk middle school and all the great things going on at the middle school. And, Coach, because of that, we know that we have this great pipeline coming in from the middle school. We know that we have this great talent coming in, and that is going to be the theme of this week's Odom Challenge. It's back. You can't pawn it off on the superintendent.
He was getting
well, he's going to get something, too.
Oh, dang.
But the Odom Challenge is going to you, Coach.
I thought I was off for the night.
All right, so here we go. Here's what we're doing, Coach. This week in the Odom Challenge, we have for you, I'm going to put, it's simple. You just got to name your players. It's no big deal. You have to name, don't look at my notes.
Oh, gosh. You're going to give me numbers?
I'm going to give you their picture a long time ago.
Okay, I'm not going to do
So
that.
thanks to the parents and the Booster Club that helped make this week's Odom Challenge possible. So let's go to the screen. Let's take a look at our first option for you, Coach. Name your athlete in your high school football program right now.
Man. Is that X? Is that Xavier Harris?
It is Xavier Harris. Congratulations. All right. Getting you going easy
here.
here.
It was a smile. It was easy.
All right.
Smile got me.
Let's take a look at our second one.
That's Michael Garcia.
That is Michael Garcia. It absolutely is.
No question.
All right. Who else we got here?
Oh, you got me here now. Man.
We got those multi-sport players, Coach. That's a good thing. We got 2 sport athletes.
Man. All right. Is there like a loud noise?
We're going to talk with the producer about again. That is Elijah Pearson. Elijah Pearson, former Yankee Elijah Pearson.
Rose will be texting here in a minute.
Think you'll get this one. It's a good one. What do you think?
Is that Tony Diaz?
That's King Diaz right there.
I said Tony's all wrong.
King Diaz. You were halfway there.
Yeah.
All right, who is this, Coach? This parent went way back. They're not even going to help you.
Please be Nick Jones.
No, that is Mr. Simmons. That is Jaquavius Simmons.
Oh my God, that's even better that I said Nick Jones for tomorrow.
All right, who's this? I'll tell you, his dad put that shirt on him.
Is that Isaiah?
That's Isaiah De Leon. Yes, it is. Next up.
That's my man Ori?
That's your man, Ori Williams. Going to be with us soon here. Ori Williams.
He'll be walking
all right.
quick.
Who else we got here?
Ooh. I don't know.
You guessed him already.
I did? Who did I say already? I'm already lost my words.
This is Nicholas Jones.
No way. There's like a receiver there.
He's a long-time Rattler. Look at this. He's a long-time Rattler, Coach.
God, I'm just not good.
There's no way I would have known these without the parent email.
It's not Kevin Morales, is it?
No, this is Jordan Cervantes.
Dang it.
All right.
Like Jordan.
Let's see if you can figure this one out.
Oh, that's Schulte.
That's Schultz. That's Jake Schultz Rodriguez.
He's got the same look.
All right, one more, Coach. Let's see if you can tell me this Rattler.
Is that Cutter?
It's a great guess considering that's actually Coach Webb.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome.
And that will do it for the Rattler Up Odom Challenge.
That's good stuff.
So if the superintendent doesn't fire us tonight, Webb's going to kill me tomorrow. Either way, I think I probably broadcast my last show. Special thanks to the people that got me those photos, especially the person out there that got me Coach Webb's photo. Can we put it? Can you put Webb's photo back up? I mean, if I'm dead, I'm dead. Let's just go ahead. Just take one more look at it, right? All right. Well, special thanks again to all the parents that shared with that. It's really fun to look at our athletes and us, all the great kids that we have coming up in our programs. When we return to break, we're going to go to commercial, but when we return from break, we'll be joined live in studio with the superintendent of schools for SMCISD, Dr. Michael Cardona. We'll get his thoughts on the growth of the Rattler Nation and much more when we return here on Rattler Up. All right, we're back here on Rattler Up, and we are glad to be joined by the Superintendent of Schools for SMCISD, Dr. Michael Cardona. Dr. Cardona, thanks for joining us here on Rattler Up.
Hey, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
So I was going to try to reach out and get the baby photo of you in there, but I also thought better of that as well.
That's a good choice.
That was a good choice, I thought. And so we're glad to have you here. We just wanted to have you here to talk a little bit about yourself, about Rattler Nation. You have overseen, you're in your 6th year now with San Marcos CISD, so obviously you've seen a lot of change, a lot of growth here academically, athletically. So tell us a little bit about what you've seen, again, over a good stretch of time now to where we are now.
Well, we've seen a lot. We've done a lot, and I think that's a tribute to the parents who are out here who, as Coach Walsh alluded to earlier, have bought in with the kids. You know, when I first got here, I heard a lot about what we couldn't do, and that's one of my pet peeve words is what we can't do. And so, you know, we came in. Everybody knows we had some issues, but one of our big priorities was academics. Dual language is important to me. As someone who struggles speaking Spanish, I thought it was important that kids are biliterate and bicultural, and that, you know, we're in San Marcos, you know, it is Spanish for St. Mark, so I thought that was a good first start. We had AVID, that's a passion of mine, is the AVID and getting kids to get that understanding about college and what they can do and where they can go and how we can support the families in making sure that the kids get there. I think one of the things I'm most proud of that not a lot of people talk about is putting 8th graders, all 8th graders, 100% of 8th graders into Algebra 1. We were told by a lot of people that we shouldn't do that. And the first year we did it, we had 80% of our kids pass that high school test in middle school. And so again, it goes to what Coach Walsh talks about is, you know, if you support these kids, if they buy into your vision, they're going to produce for you. And then we have the early college. That was always, when I was a principal in San Antonio, We were a district where everybody had to do the same thing, and we don't need the same thing. I thought, we need an early college. We need to give our parents choice. And really for me, it was an issue of, it's not my place as superintendent to tell any parent or kid what they need to do. If they want to go military, my brother was military. If they want to go workforce, my mother was workforce. My dad dropped out in 8th grade and then went back and got his GED and was actually in school with me in junior college when I was in high school taking algebra. And he was successful in his own way. And then there was me and my brother. And so, if anybody tells me, like, we have to predetermine where kids go, that's the wrong thing to say. It's just for us to help and support our families as they navigate their journeys and the kids navigate their journeys through our system.
And I think a word you used there that's probably key for what you're trying to develop here is choice, right? The idea that the kid comes in and has a variety not only of choices that they can take and paths that they can go down at the high school level, but that when they leave San Marcos with their degree, that they then have choices for their adult life. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah. I mean, we want our kids being multi-sport athletes. We want them being an avid. We want them being in fine arts. We want them doing whatever their passion is, and it's our job to support them as they go through that system. And we have a head coach here that believes that unequivocally, and we're just here to make sure that we challenge our kids. And yeah, we all want to win, but we want to grow and develop just really good kids and good citizens.
Right. And so talk to us about, you talk about Coach Walsh is bought into that same vision, so we're all on the same page, which is good. Talk to us about how that connection with athletics and academics, and how the major puzzle piece that athletics can be across a campus. When we talk Rattler Nation, really Rattler Nation is the city of San Marcos. That's Rattler Nation. Talk to us about the role athletics plays in building that up.
Well, I think we all remember we didn't go to school. Some of us did. We didn't go to school for, physics or for biology. I mean, I went to school because I love playing basketball and I love playing baseball. And that's what I grew up with. And when my coaches told me when I was in high school, like, by the way, you're going to run cross country and then you're going to do track, or you're not going to do basketball and baseball, I was like, yes, sir, let's do it.
Right.
And, I wasn't the greatest track person or cross country, but it was sporting. It's sports that I like to be a part of. I went to a private school. We didn't have career technology. I think had I gone to a public high school, I might have gone into welding, or that might have been my passion, electrical trades. And so I just think, it is the other things. Now it is our job to get kids to be literate and numerate and be able to, interview well and represent our city well, but we do that through these extracurriculars and fine arts.
Right. So what is, you speak to students quite a bit. It's wonderful. We see you on our campuses all the time. You have meetings with kids. You'll walk up and talk to a kid, no problem. They feel comfortable around you. I think that's important as a leader. But when you get that opportunity to talk to kids, what is that primary number one message you have for a student? What is it you want students to know if you're going to get a chance to talk to them?
Well, it depends on the student that I'm talking to. So every student has their story. And so I know with certain kids, I can talk a certain way. If I go up to Maggie, Coach Walsh's daughter, I know she has a story around dyslexia. That's a passion of hers. And so we can have a conversation, because I have a child who has dyslexia. I have a daughter who has dyslexia. If I go up to, a young man that may be making choices that are not necessarily good, that conversation might look a little bit different. But ultimately, it's, my conversation with him is, look, I don't care what it is you want to do. At the end of the day, you have to be respectful. You have to be able to read, write, and do math. And you have to be able to carry yourself in a way that gives people confidence that you're going to add value to whatever organization you want to go into. And I will say this as a Hispanic man, that is a big thing for me. You get one chance to make a good first impression. If you make a bad first impression, it's going to be very difficult to recover for that, and so just representing your community well. None of us are perfect. We all did things when we were going through school, but at the end of the day, my job is to make sure that they get better like 1%, and whatever choice they make, that we know that they're going to exit pretty well-rounded kids.
And I think that's a connection we've talked quite a bit about here on Rattler Up. We're talking about athletes there's growth, right? We want the W, but we want the growth. And if the growth is happening, then we know we're doing our jobs. And so it's nice to know that we're all kind of in that same pathway. What are some goals then that you have? You've seen a lot of growth. You've seen a lot of tremendous movement in the last 5 to 6 years here in San Marcos. So now before you, what lies some of our goals and some of the things you want to see us accomplish in the next few years?
I think it's implementing the programs that with fidelity that we have bought into. You know, I talked about early college, a good, robust fine arts program, a career technology program that's robust and gives kids options, obviously good athletic program, good academic program. At the end of the day, you know, we need our parents to hold us accountable for good, solid, tier 1 instruction, right? We have to have kids, when they walk out of the building every day, we have to know that when they walk out, they're at a certain point. Because if we don't know, like if teachers don't know, and great teachers kind of can listen and they can hear things as they're teaching a class, if we don't know where kids are at the end of the day, then we're playing catch up every day. And we don't want to play catch up. We want to be upstream. You know, there's the story of Dan Heath is an author who wrote a book called Upstream, and it's two guys that are fishing and they see drowning kids coming down the river. And, you know, they look at each other, and one guy just decides to walk upstream, and the other guy asks him, hey, where are you going? He's like, well, I'm going to go find out why the kids are being thrown into the river, right? We're always in reactionary mode if we don't know where kids are at. And so we have to get ahead of that game. And that takes parents, and that takes students to get on board, and that takes teachers to get on board. And, you know, superintendents are old school people. We have a tripod, a pretty simple concept. If any one of the legs are off balance, we don't get a good picture. And that's the graduate. Ultimately, we want a graduate to look a certain way, but if parents, students, and teachers are off balance, then the system's off balance.
So, Coach Walsh, as you hear that, and you know this obviously, but as you hear the vision and kind of the idea of what we're headed for the district, how does some of what Dr. Cardona has talked about tie into what you're trying to make happen in the athletic program?
Yeah, you know, the first thing I heard when I got here was a strike is one, you know, and you can put words together, you can put slogans together, but when you're in the middle of it, like I got as soon as I got here, that strike is one mentality was in place, and he's done a great job of surrounding himself with great leadership and intelligence behind that leadership. So it's this job's good for me. The football, the volleyball, all the athletics is fun, but I have just as much fun learning new leadership styles and watching his group, the cabinet, lead us.
Awesome. Well, Dr. Cardona, we want to get to know you a little bit personally too. We got into Coach Walsh here a little bit.
I'm not a doctor.
I know. We'll get you there eventually. I'm swapping my doctors and coaches here.
I'm done with school.
But Dr. Cardona, I think one of the big things I think people would love to know a little bit more about, those of us that know you know this, share with us about the corgis that are running around in the Cardona household.
So, yeah, I have 7 corgis right now. If you know anything about corgis, they're pretty bullheaded and strong-willed. You can't really tame them. They tame you because they're herding dogs. We have one that we've got that he's a little deaf. We call him sordo. He is deaf and he's a little blind, but he runs the house already. He's got his pathways. I don't know. I like Queen Elizabeth, and you know, if you've ever studied Queen Elizabeth, she had a bunch of corgis. The last one just died not too long ago, and so I always wanted a corgi. My wife, who's in the audience, one day just comes home with hey, you got to go pick up a corgi over in Kyle, and I was like, I got a what? And sure enough, Bandit was our first corgi, and now 7 corgis later, here we are. We have a herd of them.
So you have the full herd of corgis then at the Cardona household?
That's 7. That's it.
So that's it? There won't be an 8th?
There will not be an 8th, no.
You couldn't hear it at home, but what was said in the audience was challenge accepted. That was actually what was said. Well, Dr. Cardona, besides being a Rattler fan, obviously you are a Steelers fan, a Cubs fan, and a Spurs fan. Now, growing up in San Antonio, I think the Spurs fandom is kind of self-explanatory. Walk us through how you get to the Steelers and the Cubs as fandom.
All right. So when I was growing up, you know, my my family, like many families, their story is in the 60s, half of my aunts and uncles went north to Chicago and half went to work for the military in San Antonio, civil service, or were in the military. And so those were the two pathways. So for us growing up, you know, we didn't have daycare. My parents had to work year round. And so when we would get out of school, they would, that Friday, whatever Friday night they would get out of school, they would pack us up in my dad's GMC pickup truck. We had the camper with the tape, you know, the air conditioner with the tape in the windows. For those of you that know, we had the plywood bed. We had the igloo ice chest full of, you know, bologna and cheese sandwiches. And we'd hit the road to Chicago. We'd sleep over at every rest stop in Arkansas, all the way up through Missouri, all the way up to Illinois. They would drop us off with my aunts and uncles because their schedules allowed them to take care of my brother and I. And then they would leave and go back. They would just drive right back to work. They might have missed a day getting back. But then I spent my summers up in Chicago. Okay. Well, there's not a lot to do in the daytime. So one of the things to do is to ride the red line up to the Chicago Cubs stadium. And they were horrible then. And you'd buy tickets for like $2 or $3 and sit in the bleachers. They were all day games at the time. So that's where it helped being Hispanic. So we wouldn't sunburn, you know, we would just tan. And so that's the Chicago Cubs story. Now, part of that is my family is entirely all Cowboys fans. And so growing up as a young, rebellious kid, it was, who can I root for that is the opposite of the Cowboys? And so in 78, 79 was their back-to-back championships. Right. And so Terry Bradshaw, you know, Jack Lambert, all those guys, right. Like, that was it. So that one wasn't a familial thing. That was just to pay back my aunts and uncles who
that was
were
the
always
rebellious piece. I like it.
Well, there was a lot of licks given to us, you know, for things boys do in the summer. And so, you know, it's like, I'm going to cheer for somebody that they don't like. And so that's held us up to now.
All right. Well, I was teased all week to present you with the toughest possible Steelers, Spurs, Cubs trivia that I could. I've decided I'm gonna take it easy.
You wanted to have a 6 show,
right? Perhaps for my own self-preservation, and I'm gonna wrap it all up in one question. So, Pittsburgh Steelers, San Antonio Spurs, Chicago Cubs.
I don't know.
They've combined for a total of how many world championships?
Well, are you counting the Cubs, like pre-1908, 1907? Because
World Series championships.
1, 5, 11. 6 for the Steelers.
6 for the Steelers.
5 for the Spurs. And technically it's 1 for the Cubs, but if you add the two,
count the other two, we'll count the other two, and he's got it. So, hey, Scotty Barbecue, give it up for Doc Cardone. He got it right. He got it right. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Cardone. We really appreciate you being here on Rattler Up.
All right.
Hope we didn't put you through the grinder too much. That wasn't too bad.
I do think you need to get Terrence Sanders, our assistant superintendent, up here one day, and Mr. Dale Mitchell, a new executive director.
We'll go ahead and start episode 6, Terrence Sanders. Yeah, episode 7. Just getting this all put together here. All right.
Yeah. And if you have any bond questions, you got Mr. Bernie Sandoval back there.
Bernie Sandoval's here. So we're live in the studio audience here at Ace County Barbecue, ready to go. Well, we're going to get our attention back to football as we look ahead to this Friday night. And of course, we know that the Rattler Nation is clearly the best, period, going into Friday night. If you got to get out to the Rattler Stadium and see that graphic as good things happen. But we go this Friday night. The Rattlers will head to Austin to take on the Westlake Chaparrals in Chaparral Stadium. Now, we talked a lot about this game in last week's Rattler Up, so there's not a lot to review, but we want to kind of check in now. We talked about having the bye week to prepare. We talked about getting ourselves ready for this game, Coach. So Westlake is 1-0 in district play. They got that victory last week, 63-6 against Del Valle. Of course, we're coming off our first game with Lake Travis, and we talked about using this bye week to rest up and get healthy, right? Injuries have really plagued this team this year. So as we go for that, and as we go looking obviously for the W against Westlake, what are some other goals you have for this team going into this Westlake game Friday?
Well, just first of all, they're in the open week. They're still back-to-back state champions and #1 in the state this year, so that didn't change. but just stay healthy still. So we had a great week of recovery we talked about. We have 5 starters that are prepared to play that will not play just because they're all released, but we're just going to leave them off and just make sure they're ready to go for that last 5. I told the guys today, we've looked. I've given the whole picture, and I told them, we got after Westlake, there's a 5-game run there that we can run the table if we're all healthy and getting better each week. But we've still got an opportunity to play the number 1 team in the state, and not everybody gets to do that. And every position they got is a mismatch problem, and we get to get better in that adversity. So the mood was great today. You can tell they're ready to get back on it. It doesn't matter if it's the number 1 team or if it's one of those 5 we got left. We're ready to roll.
And so let's take a look then at our remaining schedule. You've talked with me a good bit. We know we have Westlake coming up, and you've talked about these 5, and I think these are key, Coach. You talk about after Lake Travis and Westlake, we have those remaining 5 games with Hayes, Austin, Del Valle, Bowie, and Austin Aikens, and that really, like you've mentioned, is those 5 games become our path to the tournament. And so talk to me about, you and I've talked personally about why you feel this schedule has played itself out very advantageously for the Rattlers.
Yeah, so once we get past the number 1 team, we have Hayes. So that graphic had Hayes. We're 14. This is last year before our programs. Last year we were still speaking a different language to our kids and still figuring each other out. And we were still 14-6 going in the 4th quarter with Hayes. We were still 1 score down with the ball at the Del Valle. We were still 1 score down with Austin Bowie going into the end of the game. So we had chances to win and just we just weren't complete yet to win those games. And then looking at the rosters going back, we knew we had the most coming back besides Austin Bowie. So now where we're at in our program, none of those 5 we can say, hey, we're going to run the table just because who we are. We're going to still prove ourselves week in and week out, but it is we feel great about where we're at. Again, getting everybody back and that we lost immediately at New Braunfels is going to help us, obviously.
Well, we're excited, and you can start cheering for those Rattlers this Friday night against Westlake, and then, of course, we begin those final 5 as we make our climb into the tournament. We're excited to see where we get that happening.
Can we do one thing before we get out of here? Ori, can you put Ori's baby picture up since he showed up?
Yeah. Is that grabbable? Our producer Josh is saying it is.
Before we get off.
A live studio audience here at Hayes Barbecue. Ori Williams has joined us. And there he is, young Ori. Glad to have him here with us live. And that's going to do it for Rattler Up this week. Hayes County Barbecue, did you have a nice time on Rattler Up this week? Again, Monday nights, this is the place to be. Monday nights at 6, Hayes County Barbecue. Get you some brisket, some sausage, some turkey. Join us for Rattler Up. Stay afterward for Monday Night Football. And, Coach, this week, Monday Night Football, we got Cowboys, Eagles. You teased you're not going to upset me. Who you got tonight?
No, I'm buying in. I hate that we keep losing guys on defense, but our offense looks pretty dang good. I'm with the Cowboys.
All right. Walsh has the Cowboys tonight against the Eagles. Well, next week we want to remind you, or first of all, we want to remind you of all the opportunities that you have to catch the Rattlers coming up this week. High school volleyball team is actually on the road all week. Tuesday they're going to be in Austin against Bowie, and Friday they'll be in Kyle taking on Hayes. So that is an absolutely travelable game for you. So make sure you get out to Kyle Friday night if you can. Cheer on the varsity girls. This Saturday the cross country team heads to Seguin for the Matador Invitational. You can catch tennis this Wednesday afternoon at San Marcos High School, or travel to Lockhart Saturday to catch some action there. And of course, if you want some action from some of that future of Rattler football, we've seen so many great things going on from the Miller and Goodnight programs. They will be in action on their campuses Tuesday night at both middle schools. But this next week on Rattler Up, we were going to update you, of course, on the Westlake game. We will preview the following Hayes game, and we should have some more volleyball updates. We're looking to get Coach Teo in here to talk with him a lot about what's going on with that team as they wrap up the first half of district play. But we want to make sure you're here every night, Monday night at 6. If you can't catch us live, make sure to watch us on the live stream. Go to the YouTube channel for VYPE and look them up. Our shows are on there all week long, available anytime for your watching privilege. We want to thank VYPE and our producer Josh. He's put together a great platform for us here on Rattler Nation. Let's take a minute here, Coach. Talk about the job Josh has done putting this together for us here on Rattler Up.
Well, Josh has done a lot of good things for us. If you watch on Friday nights when you go to the games, the whole production, he's the man behind the production. So when it was time to put this show together, it was easy to asked this guy to do it, and it's been top notch ever since.
All right, so thanks to VYPE, thanks to Josh, thanks to our live crowd here at Hays County Barbecue. You make it fun to talk sports and be a part of Rattler Nation every week. So for Coach Walsh, I am CJ Odom, and that'll do it for us here this week on Rattler Up.